All right, in today's video, we are going to be redrafting the 2022 NBA draft, where Paolo Banchero originally went number 1, and a lot of future and current NBA stars were taken. A draft class that I think is decent in hindsight, but not unbelievable. And I am interested to redraft this one, no doubt about it. Definitely some guys who I think are significantly higher on this list as well from the 2022 draft, as well as some followers. Before we hop into it, y'all haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help me push towards the 2,000 subscriber mark on the channel. We hit 1K a few days ago. Really appreciate all y'all's recent support on this channel. Without further ado, we will start with the number 1 overall pick. The Orlando Magic selected Paolo Banchero, and I am still of the opinion that they would take Paolo again. I truly believe that this is a draft where there was there was a wrong answer, but there were a couple of incredible top tier guys who are being debated for the first overall pick in Chet, Jabari, and Paolo. Chet and Paolo have truly turned out to be incredible players. 2 of the, in my opinion, 3 best players of this draft class. And I think the Magic have no doubts whatsoever about their choice of Paolo. He fits their team really, really well, and they've made moves to improve the roster around him as well. Magic look really good, super good defensively. And when Paolo comes back, I think they're going to be a scary team in the West. Already kind of proven to be so far this year. Definitely would still be the number 1 overall pick. Number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder originally selected Chet Holmgren. And look, there is one other man who the Oklahoma City Thunder originally selected, and that is Jalen Williams. He has a serious argument to be the choice here instead of Chet Holmgren, but I do believe that the Thunder, I guess if you're redrafting right now, you're redrafting with Chet's injury issues in mind as well. The fact that he already has missed an entire season, missed his what should have been his rookie year with Liz Frank injury, and now is out with some sort of hip pointer fracture as well, but 2 major leg injuries early in his career. Incredibly talented player, and if he was healthy, I would say he'd be the second pick, but he's had injury issues. And so that's the only reason that I'm going to go J-Dub as well. A guy who's the second best player on a serious championship contender right now. And the Thunder truly haven't missed a beat without Chet. Like, obviously, he's an incredible player, but I actually think the Thunder right now, knowing what they know right now, would take J-Dub at number 2. Now, at number 3, the Rockets originally selected Jabari Smith Jr., with the idea being that he would be the guy next to Alperen Şengün. The problem with Jabari Smith is he has not shot the ball all that well. Really his entire career. He's shooting about 35% from 3 this year, was about 36 last year, but for his career, I mean, the last couple of years, I guess it's 36 and a half ish, 35 and a half. But overall, the efficiency isn't incredible. He's a good rebounder. He's a decent defensive player, but not a great one. I feel like he fits best as a small ball 5. And I don't think he's the guy they would choose if they could go back and pick again. I think Jabari Smith is going to be a good NBA player. The problem with Chet as a choice for the Rockets is the fit of Chet next to Şengün. But I think the Rockets could make it work. And the other thing the Rockets have is a lot of depth. It would give them a lot of roster versatility if both those guys were healthy. I'm not sure that would create trades in the future or not, but in this situation, I think you would have to take the best player available, and that is, I still think pretty distinctly, Chet Holmgren at number 3. This would be a lot simpler if I had just picked Chet at number 2 for the Thunder, but I do think that the Thunder would take Jalen Williams, so I'm not going based off of simplicity for a fit reason. I think I'm going to go with what the teams would actually do. Number 4, the Sacramento Kings originally selected Keegan Murray. And the problem with Keegan Murray is not that he is a bad player. It is that his shooting has regressed over the past couple seasons. He is down to less than 30% from 3 this year after being over 41% as a rookie. Last year was about 36, so still a step down, but he's gone way down from that as well. Really has kind of regressed as a player. If he had continued a upward or even stable trajectory from his rookie season, I would be totally fine with him still being the choice here. But the honest truth is, this is kind of where the draft drops down from the top tier guys to a lot of role players. And the Kings, they have Sabonis, they have De'Aaron Fox. They currently, I think, have a decent roster around those guys, although not a great one. DeMar DeRozan, I feel like they would need another. I mean, the problem with a guy like Jaden Ivey, I think he's the logical choice here, except for the fact that he is similar to De'Aaron Fox in terms of his downhill driving ability. Not really a great floor spacer. This is a really tough choice. I'm not going to lie to you. This would be a really, really tough choice, I think, in a redraft for the Kings. Shaedon Sharpe is only 21. If he was shooting the 3-ball better this year, I'd be really high on him because he's having a good year otherwise, but his 3-ball shooting isn't high enough. Dang, this is tough. This is really tough. I really don't know who they would choose. Like, this is the first time in any of these redraft videos, the third one I've done, when I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really think this would be a spot where, even if only the 4th overall pick, they would be like, you're going to get a good player regardless, right? But who is that guy going to be? And I'm going to pick a very surprising choice. Tari Eason. Is that a stretch? Some people will say yes. I think Tari Eason is legitimately one of the most impactful role players, one of the most underrated players, period, in the league. I get that he has not shot the three ball all that well this season. Last year, he was 36%. He is an elite defender, super high energy, high effort guy, would fit and improve the Kings defensively significantly. He's the perfect piece, I think, that they could have on this team. I get he's not the most elite shooter. They unfortunately kind of handicapped themselves by just drafting or adding DeMar DeRozan, I should say, not drafting. But I get that might feel like a weird choice. I really think Tari Eason would be the choice, though, for the Kings at number 4. Number 5, the Pistons originally took Jaden Ivey, and I do believe they would again take Jaden Ivey. The reason being he's starting into that second star for Cade Cunningham. I mean, he very much is having a great season. And I think despite the Pistons still overall struggles, his efficiency from the three has improved across the board. He's a more efficient player than he was. He's averaging almost 18 a game, having his best season of his career. And I think playing his role at a very high level, the efficiency continues to increase across the board, which is a big deal. Very, very athletic driver. Would like to see him shoot the three ball, everything the free throw just slightly better, I guess. But overall, I think he's realistically having a very solid third season, has definitely become the player the Pistons, or in the process of becoming the player the Pistons wanted him to be. The problem is the rest of the team still isn't great. Number 6, the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers originally selected Ben Mathurin, and Mathurin has had a really good third season. The issue with Mathurin is that he does not really fit great next to Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. I feel like I just think there's a weird lack of cohesiveness with that team. They're really struggling right now. And yet the problem is there isn't really another guy who I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. There's a lot of role players. I think Ben Mathurin might have the highest ceiling of any of these guys as a primary type scorer, offensive option who's got the athletic ability and versatility to defend. The Pacers are struggling, and I don't think it's Mathurin's fault. I still think they would take Ben Mathurin at number 6 right now, provided the choices that are currently available in this draft class. So I think I will still go Mathurin at 6. Number 7, the Portland Trailblazers obviously originally selected Shaedon Sharpe, who, like I said earlier in the video, is having a very solid third year, with the exception of the outside shooting. That three ball has been a disappointment for Shaedon Sharpe, and I think that's the thing that would be most concerning. And yet the Trailblazers are still, as of right now, very much a rebuilding team, very much a team trying to find themselves. And despite Shaedon not shooting the three ball exceptionally well, he really has done everything else quite well. And obviously the three ball has been a bit worse this year than it has been the last couple of years as well. I do think that was due for a little bit of positive regression. The scoring as a whole has improved. His 2-point percentage has improved dramatically over last season, which has been nice. He's finishing around the rim better. And I think he's having a decent year. I would like him to have a better assist to turnover ratio, but I kind of like him as a player. And I think obviously still only 21. He makes sense still for the future of the Blazers as their draft choice here at 7. Number 8, the New Orleans Pelicans originally selected Dyson Daniels, and I bet they wish they had Dyson Daniels right now, having traded him to the DeJounte Murray, or for DeJounte Murray, in addition to some other things as well. But they included, they might not. I mean, I don't think the Hawks would trade Dyson Daniels for DeJounte Murray straight up right now. That trade has worked out very, very well for the Hawks. But the thing about the Pelicans, they have a lot of wings, not a ton of guards, at least high-level guards. CJ McCollum has been good, but injury-prone. He's a scoring guard as well, not much on the defensive end of the court. Dude, they would really like to have Dyson Daniels back right now. I know they are struggling offensively in the first place, but imagine the defense you can get with guys like Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, when that lineup is healthy. I understand the shooting can be a concern, but I'm sure that the Pelicans would love to have Dyson Daniels back right now, and I think he would be the choice here at number 8. Number 9, the San Antonio Spurs originally selected Jeremy Sohan, who has had a decent third season, but I don't think is great. I would take Jabari Smith Jr. over Jeremy Sohan. I think he fits really well next to Wemby in that his defense is good enough to where it would allow Wemby to be a floater at times and almost let Jabari play around the rim and allow Wemby to float and come over and contest shots, help off the corner a little bit more, provide more versatility for Wemby. I think he's a better shooter than Sohan is as well. Has not quite been the knockdown shooter that I thought he was going to be coming out of college, but still, look, I don't want to sit here and say Jabari Smith Jr. is a bad player at all. He's just slipped a bit down my board from where he was originally drafted. I still think he's a very solid player, has a lot of value in this league. And if the Spurs got him at number 9, I think they would be very, very pleased with that. Number 10, the Washington Wizards select. Originally, they selected Johnny Davis, who was easily the worst draft pick of the class, has been a complete and utter abject disaster through 3 seasons in the league, still really not even getting minutes on a very, very bad Washington Wizards team. That one is a no-brainer. They would absolutely not in a million years take Johnny Davis again. The thing with the Wizards in general, though, is they need real talent. I'm not sure how much they have to build around even right now. Obviously, guys like Bub Carrington, Karshawn George have shown some promise. Jordan Poole has kind of had a bounce back year, but also has a ton of inconsistency, a ton of shot selection questions. I'm not sure Kuzma will be there long term. I don't think Jonas Valanciunas will be there long term. Honestly, I think Keegan Murray is the most logical choice right here. I just think that they would take the guy who has the upside has proven to be a very good shooter, is struggling recently, but I think can figure it back out. They could use a floor spacer who's going to defend, play hard, and I think just be a versatile wing, 3 and 4. Give them some options. Give them a guy they can kind of plug and play and build around to a certain extent in Keegan Murray. Obviously not a superstar, but a guy who I think would be impactful and help this team. Number 11, the New York Knicks originally drafted Ousmane Dieng and traded him to the Thunder in a swap that I forget exactly what happened with that pick. It's been long enough now where I kind of forget what exactly happened with that pick, but I'm going to sit here and I guess assume that the Thunder would want to make another draft pick here because, again, this is a weird spot where the Thunder originally made a trade for this player. I don't think the Thunder would want to trade for Ousmane Dieng, though, now, to be totally honest. I realistically... Look, I don't know who to draft for, totally honest here, because I don't think the Thunder, with the way the roster is looking like now, would try to trade up and draft any of these guys. But this is a tough spot. You know who I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick a guy. Where is he? He can't be this far down, right? Is Peyton Watson really this far down? There's no way. I had to have missed him, right? There's no way Peyton Watson is this far down. I really like Peyton Watson. I think he's having a really good year. I think he would be a guy that the Thunder would be absolutely thrilled to draft. I do not know where he is, though, so I don't know how to draft him. I can't find the player. Was he really this far down these projected draft boards? There's no way. I literally don't see him. Okay, well, 1 second, y'all, and I'm going to try to find Peyton Watson, then we're going to come back and draft him for the Thunder. All right, y'all, so I'm totally blind. He's right here at 36. Missed him. Point being, Peyton Watson is a really impactful defensive wing. The Thunder love defense. He's a guy who provides them size, which might be the one thing that they are kind of lacking on that wing right now, and he's having a good year in Denver as well, shooting 36% from 3, improving as an outside player, super athletic, impactful defender, a guy who would fit the Thunder system, I feel like, perfectly as enough of a 3-point threat, really athletic guy, kind of a big upgrade over Ousmane Dieng, who they originally added with that 11th pick, and I think that's who they would snag. Number 12 was originally 12 was J-Dub. That's what I'm tripping. So OKC had 12 as well. Now, if they had just drafted Peyton Watson, I feel like this would be a pick where they would be like almost uncertain of what to do, knowing what they know now, because there's just not anybody who's like, oh yeah, that's an OKC player right there. And I feel like this would become a spot where it'd be like, who do we really like from this draft class at this point? Who do we think we can turn into a really impactful player? And I don't really, again, this is one of those spots where it's like, I think they would go a guy like Christian Brown, I guess, another defensive wing. Again, in this situation, they still have Chet Holmgren, or so they still have J-Dub, but they don't have Chet Holmgren. So I guess they would consider a big potentially, but the only real big, like I guess Mark Williams or Walker Kessler probably, right? They drafted J-Dub or J Will in the second round originally. I don't think he fits unbelievably well with what OKC is doing. But I think Mark Williams has some really high potential as a two-way guy, as a big. I'm going to go Mark Williams for talent levels at number 12, I think is what I'm going to do. That's a weird spot, I got to say, for another choice. A couple of these picks are like, they don't fit the current roster super duper well, so it's tough to choose out of the options that are left. The Hornets originally drafted Jalen Duren and traded him to Detroit. So for Detroit, I think they would probably again draft Duren. The real thing with Duren, honestly, is you want to see the defensive ability improve a little bit. He's a little too Andre Drummond at times, a very efficient inside guy who does rebound the ball well, but it would be nice to see a little bit more defensive ability from him. I do think he has shown a little bit of promise as a guy with the ball in his hands off the short roll and stuff like that, offensively making some decisions, but not great. Very physically skilled, athletic big, but I'd like to see a little bit more defensive impact. I don't think he's been incredible, but I still think the Pistons would take him and hope to continue to develop them. And then at number 14, the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted Ochai Agbaji. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, looking at the guys who are left on this list, I don't think Ochai Agbaji would be a unlikely shout here at all. Now, Ochai has ended up on Toronto. He was in Utah. Was he a Cav before he was in Utah? I'm legitimately trying to remember now at this point. how Ochai Agbaji's career has gone, because he's bounced around a little bit. No, he was in Utah, then Toronto. Okay, so he wound up getting traded to Utah. I think Utah would like Ochai Agbaji, actually. But right now, Utah really needs like guys they can build on, who I think provide a little bit more youth, and that's not something that Ochai Agbaji gives you. Whereas a Walker Kessler or a Jaden Hardy as a scorer would be an interesting option that they have Sexton and Jordan Clarkson. They originally took Walker Kessler a little bit later. I'm going to go Walker Kessler over Ochai Agbaji, a guy who is not having like an unbelievable second season or anything like that, but is definitely a very capable player in his third year, averaging a double-double, doing it pretty darn efficiently, which is nice. He's an inside big. He's a lob threat. He's a shot blocker. He's not an unbelievably elite big man, but he's definitely a good one and is producing at a pretty high level, albeit on a bad team. And I think Utah would be happy to have Walker Kessler back in the fold. With that being said, I got to say this was the hardest of the redrafts that I've done so far. So let me know in the comment section down below what y'all think, if there's anything you would have changed about this draft. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure y'all hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I will be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.